TSO. He took a step upwards, and then another, holding on to the banister rail. He was about to take a third step when he heard groaning. It was the groaning of somebody in both pain and despair, and it went on and grew louder and increasingly desperate. There was no doubt that it was coming from the Montgomery wing. "Oh, shit," thought Alex. "There's somebody here, and they've been badly injured. The least I can do is find out where they are and how seriously they've been hurt, and call an ambulance if they need it." He went back downstairs, walked along the corridor, and opened up the double doors of the Montgomery wing ward. The last of the orange sunlight was shining in, because there were 3 tall French windows along the left-hand side of the ward, each of them giving out onto a balcony and a view of the woods that surrounded the hospital grounds. The trees were waving frantically in the wind as if they were warning him from a distance to be careful. There were 8 beds in the ward, all along the right-hand wall. None of them had sheets or blankets or pillows, and only one of them had a drip stand next to it, forlornly bent. The groaning continued, sometimes low and wavering, but then rising higher until it was nearing a scream. Yet there was nobody there. Not that Alex could see, anyway. He made his way slowly along the line of beds, ducking his head down to look underneath each of them in turn. The groaning grew even louder and more tortured as he approached the last bed. It was empty, but the mattress appeared to be depressed in the middle as if somebody were lying on it, and he thought he saw the depressions move, as if they were rolling themselves from side to side in agony. For a few seconds, Alex stared at the bed, both baffled and frightened. The groaning dropped down to its lowest pitch, more like grumbling than groaning, and then it suddenly rose to a triumphant scream. The mattress springs suddenly scrunched, and Alex felt 2 powerful hands seize the lapels of his jacket. He was pulled violently off his feet and tipped face first onto the bed. He had no time to fight back. As soon as he sprawled on the mattress, he was gripped between the legs by a pain so intense that he felt as if he had fallen onto a train track and straddled an electric rail. A pain that blinded him and deafened him and made him scream so loudly he thought he had torn the lining of his throat to bloody shreds. He pitched onto the floor, knocking his head against the drip stand so that it fell on top of him with a clatter. He thrashed and kicked and screamed, but the pain was relentless, and if anything, it grew more and more unbearable. He lay there and went on screaming. Outside the French windows, cumulus clouds piled up from the west and covered the sinking sun, and the ward rapidly grew darker and darker. And still the pain went on, no matter how Alex screamed and sobbed and groaned and begged for somebody to put him out of his suffering. Nobody came, and as the hours passed, he lapsed into silence, his eyes closed, wondering how such pain could even exist. In the darkest hours of the night, he thought he could hear men's voices, although he couldn't make out what they were saying to each other. He called out 2 or 3 times, but nobody answered. And still the pain went on. Chapter 2. "Look, his car's here," said Lilian, as David turned into the forecourt of St. Philomena's. "I can't understand why he hasn't been answering me." "Maybe there's no signal," said David. "He didn't have any problem calling me when he first arrived. He said he was making good progress and hoped to have the whole top floor measured before it got too dark. He's usually so reliable. He measured up that Kingswood Golf Club conversion in 2 days flat." Lilian climbed out of the car and straightened her skirt. She had put on 3 or 4 pounds this week, and the waistband was slightly too tight for her. She had sworn that she would stop eating bread, but she had been late home every night, and instead of soup or salad, she had ended up making herself sandwiches. She wished that she had put on her Spanx. David shaded his eyes with his hand. "Is that him up there?"
"Where?"